What's going on, guys? This is Joshua, aka Future Filmmaker 3940, the reviews where I talk movies, TV, and music, giving you guys my annual worst movies of 2020 list, the 12 movies that made the list, and why is it I fucking hate them so much? Sorry about that. I have to calm down as my sister is still screaming. If you guys are new to the channel, thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and share this video. Also, be sure to hit the subscribe button and notification bell to get notified when newest videos are up, when I go live, or when I post on my community tab. Otherwise, you're not gonna get every single notification for any of the future videos involved. I still have a bunch of movies from last year that I have left to do in 2020 catch-up reviews, and almost all of these I reviewed, and I will put links for each of these in the description box down below. I still have to review two more of these, but with that being said, I hope you enjoy the list. This is my personal list, so if you don't like the placing or you don't like the decisions, please do not get angry. And just because I gave a movie a skip it or a get out of my face club or skip you out of 5, the grades doesn't matter. This is basically my overall thoughts on each of these movies and why each of these movies personally suck in my eyes. And with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and kick this shit off because I want to bury these movies deep down into the grave that they deserve of cinema hell. And we're gonna have fun talking about these. So kicking this shit off at number 12. Oh man, number 12. Paul W.S. Anderson, you once again has struck again at this list. And that movie is Monster Hunter. I thought you would be done with video game movies for good. But this proves that Paul W.S. Anderson, just because he owns rights to games, that doesn't mean he should be writing or directing, because this has the same problems as the Resident Evil movies. The Resident Evil movies are not great, but as different versions of the video game source material that in its own continuity, I actually really like them, despite a lot of flaws, and they're guilty pleasures. The only reason why I have yet to review this movie, but there are only a few things here. This is definitely my least favorite film on this list as far as video game movies goes, because we just came off Sonic the Hedgehog last year, and Sonic the Hedgehog was a great success, and it proves that video game movies can be the next big thing. And I don't mind Paul W.S. Anderson's movies. I like AVP. I like Mortal Kombat 1995. I can't wait for the new one, by the way. I enjoy Event Horizon, and the Resident Evil movies are not great. They do get worse, but I can enjoy them. The only thing that this movie has good about it are the monster designs, because the costume design, production design is fine, and Mila Jovovich and Tony Jaa are the only two I think are trying. But other than that, this is just a waste of potential, because what should have been a fun, entertaining video game movie, it suffers from bland characters, lazy writing, crazy choppy editing, some weird cinematography in spots, and some other casting choices. Despite their best efforts, and they do try, they're not very good here. This is a movie that honestly, and also set for a sequel. Paul W.S. Anderson, do something else that's not a video game movie and leave video game movies from Capcom alone where they at. Because if this gets a sequel, I know the Monster Hunter fans are really going to be pissed off about it. But anyways, Monster Hunter, not a fan. At all whatsoever. Coming in number 11, Michael Bay strikes again, and that is Songbird. Oh my god, why did they have to make a movie about the pandemic times? Now, I'm not saying pandemic movies are bad, because they sure as hell aren't. It's just, whoever's idea was this to make a movie about a pandemic? This is the stupidest, dumbest fucking idea that I've had. And Songbird This is a waste of a premise that could have had something to say with its idea of this virus taking over the world for 4 years and it's mutated people. This is a boring, uninteresting film that doesn't really have much to say. The only praiseworthy things about this movie I can give are the performances are serviceable from everyone, the direction isn't half terrible, and the cinematography work is pretty good here visual-wise. For when the action is there, it does get the job done, but other than that, this is pretty much, the characters are extremely undeveloped, they don't have much anything to them. The writing here is little to non-existent. It doesn't even take full advantage of the idea here. And this feels like Michael Bay ripoff. The best thing about it is that there's no explosions. The romance isn't well that handled here. And not to mention this movie is boring for an hour and 28 minutes. I wasn't optimistic about this despite the fact that this is about what's going on right now. But when you literally wants to profit off of a basic tragedy that has killed millions of people, you basically put yourself into a hole there. It's not the worst thing ever. There are some redeeming qualities here, but other than that, if you want to watch a better love story, a better version of a movie like this, you'd be better off watching Love and Monsters, because Love and Monsters is a superior film. And you'll have a better time watching that movie and actually enjoying it than you will watching this big misfire. And the only reason why I give it a D- of skip it is because of those redeeming qualities. Because the actors are trying, cinematography is fine. And this could have had something to say if you didn't have to just exploit this in the worst way ever. I swear this is more exploited than Antebellum, which I also didn't like but didn't make this list. But Songbird, not a fan. At number 10 is the most boring horror movie of last year, and that is The Empty Man. Oh, I'm sorry. This isn't The Empty Man. This is basically the bastard child of Slender Man and the Bye Bye Man. 2 hours and 20 minutes of nothing happened. I sat here with this movie basically bored, and not only that, this movie, it kind of has an interesting idea about the Empty Man, and it is based on a series of graphic novels, and this actually could have went somewhere. This actually could have been scary if the characters were more likable, and if it wasn't so boring, dull. And the sad thing is, this movie is called The Empty Man, and you don't even show him. And you all also want to know how bad this movie actually also is. This movie was filmed back in 2017, and then this was held on shelves back in 2018 due to the Disney and 20th Century Fox merger, which, I kid you not, The Simpsons predicted Disney will buy 20th Century Fox. Thank you, Simpsons, for predicting that. And not even a year after they pushed it back, we only got one trailer, which was an hour and 30 minutes. And I kid you not, this is just, I can appreciate the fact that they weren't trying to do a full-on jump scare movie. I can appreciate that. I can see what they're going for here, but it's just, this could have been great if you had something to say about it, because there is an interesting idea here somewhere, and I think the performances are decent. I think that the direction is fine. It's just everything else in between, as far as character-wise, writing-wise, and direction-wise, is not very, very well handled, and it is a shame because this could have been great. This could have been something really scary. But unfortunately, The Empty Man, you failed at the box office, and for a good reason. Number 9, we have another horror movie. This list consists of horror movies, by the way, and that is Death of Me, directed by Darren Lynn Bousman. I actually don't mind Darren Lynn Bousman's directed movies. I like Saw 2, Saw 3 is my favorite of the Saw movies, and Saw 4 I really do enjoy. 11 is one of the most craziest, ridiculous, stupidest movies I have ever seen. And what do? Not even before Spiral comes out, because Spiral was originally supposed to come out, but now instead of May of last year, it's now May of this year. And just, I am looking forward to Spiral, but that for me, this had nothing to say at all. This is just, I can't even describe what this was, because this this has a concept that's actually kind of interesting, with this couple trying to figure out why is one killing the other on their little honeymoon vacation. And Maggie Q is great as always, and I do like Luke Hemsworth. I do want to see more of him. And Alex Esso is good, and the cinematography here isn't that bad. It's just the writing and direction is not the most strongest, and that is saying a lot. Stick with the Saw movies. Repo was also pretty solid, Zero Embarrassment, because this just didn't come together. This is another one of those American visit foreign countries and terrible events happen. The writing isn't great. This is a complete and total mess, and I don't really want to watch this movie ever again in 2021. My number 8 is a Netflix movie, and that is The Last Thing He Wanted. Netflix has had their ups and downs, but I do like some of the Netflix movies for the most part. No, if you're gonna ask me in the comments, I did not see Cuties because I did not want to waste an hour and 30 minutes of a movie that promotes pedophilia against 11-year-old girls. I didn't want to do it. And plus, I shouldn't have to, because all the reviews speak for itself. Is bad. That was bad, but The Last Thing He Wanted could have been great. You have a great cast here. Anne Hathaway, you have former Batman Ben Affleck, you have William Dafoe, and you have Rosie Perez, who was actually really awesome in Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of Harley Quinn. This, though, I'm not sure if this was a favor for somebody or what, but this could have been a great thriller, I guess, but problem here is that it's boring. An hour and 56 minutes of boring. The only redeeming qualities this dog has is the cinematography and its acting, but this just really didn't do much for me here. The script is non-existent. The characters are bland. The performances are good. And also, this isn't necessarily the worst, but this had all of the makings to be something special. And I haven't even seen Mudbound, but the journey of boring is beyond belief. This is just not very good, and I don't recommend you watch The Last Thing He Wanted, guys. It's not great. Number 7, unnecessary horror movie that nobody wanted, and that is Brahms The Boy 2. I can see Drum Dum's reaction. I can see why Drum Dums doesn't like this movie, because Brahms The Boy 2 contradicts absolutely almost every single bloody thing about The Boy 1, especially in the twist ending. I do have a review for this saved on my Google Chromebook, and I will upload that once I get it back. But Brahms The Boy 2, what the heck was this? Because granted, I have not seen the original Boy, and I actually kind of want to after watching this, because I've heard some decent things about it. But what was this? Because I don't know. And so I've heard about the twist, but this could have really gone somewhere for a sequel to The Boy. But instead, you have the same writer and director who comes back, decides to step back in the horror cliche lines, and you make Brahms a more stereotypical and uninteresting character. And not to add the insult to injury, you contradict your first movie. The one thing you don't do when you're making a horror sequel is contradict everything you set up in your original film. That is the number one thing you have to remember. And the performances are not bad. I don't think the performances are bad. I don't think the direction is half bad. Even the cinematography is fine. But this is just not scary. It's not creepy. And also just this is just bad, okay? It's just bad. This is absolutely one of the worst scary movies in horror history. The characters are not great. There's a lack of creepiness here, and just everything else is pretty bland despite this movie trying. So the Brahms Boy 2 is just a waste of time and money. Number 6. Robert Downey Jr. I have a little bit of a bone to pick with you, bro, but Dolittle. I like the original Eddie Murphy Dr. Dolittle ones. Even Dr. Dolittle 3. I haven't seen the 1967 Dr. Dolittle, but I'm pretty sure it's better than this. This is a movie that I didn't really look forward to whatsoever, but I still kept an open mind because of the cast. You have a great cast here: Robert Downey Jr., Antonio Banderas, Jesse Buckley, Rami Malek, Bohemian Rhapsody himself, John Cena. The cast is great, it's stacked. And this had an interesting opening at the beginning of the movie. I was like, if they play their cards right, maybe this might actually be really great here. But no, the movie kept going and going and going. And what happens? This movie is embarrassing. The CGI on the animals is not great. It makes cats look better by comparison. And that wasn't even a great movie. And what this movie needed $500 million to break even. And what did you do? You bombed. And nobody wants to go see it. Poor Robert Downey Jr. in this cast because they're actually trying for what they're given. I can say that the movie is decently shot. This could have been great. It is very predictable. None of the jokes are loud. And there is a scene in this movie that have me very much cringing, in which Dolittle is basically giving a colonoscopy. This movie is not good. Stay away from it. Number 5, yet another comedy that I didn't even want to see, and that is Like a Boss. I wasn't against Like a Boss. I was semi-interested to see how it goes. But Like a Boss, this has got to be one of the most unfunniest films of last year. Now, Rose Byrne, I do like as an actress. She does have the worst catalog, and I actually feel pretty bad for her here because she's doing the best she can for what is given. Tiffany Haddish, I haven't seen Girls Trip, but I have seen her in Night School and Nobody's Fool and the Lego Movie 2, as well as Phineas and Ferb Candace Against the Universe. And Tiffany Haddish is actually pretty funny. And Salma Hayek here is also good, but all three of these actors, there is not much to work with the scripts, because the script here is pretty bland. The characters you don't really care much about. Your main villain, Salma Hayek, which she's, of course, is Salma Hayek. She's good looking, but not much to her. And also, you have an interesting setup here. And then somewhere along the way, they decided that what is the stupidest thing we could do? I really don't want to talk about. They go into some of the most cliche, stupidest directions. The direction is not good. The characters are not the greatest. A lot of the jokes are not funny. It reminded me of going back to 2016 and watching Ghostbusters 2016, and I hate that movie even more. But I'd rather watch that than watch this again, because Like a Boss, if you like this movie, if you like any other movie here on this list, but if you really like a Boss, That is completely fine. You are allowed to like this movie. I will not take that away from you. You are allowed to enjoy this movie, but I just couldn't. And yeah, nope. Coming number 4 is Darian Farrens strikes again with the murder of Nicole Brown Simpson. Wow. I thought The Haunting of Sharon Tate was bad. No, Hilary Duff actually tries to do what she can with that movie, but this, you have some talented actors here. You got Nick Stahl, Taryn Manning, Mina Savari, Agnes Booker, Drew Roy, Gene Freeman, and all these actors here are wasted. And also, Mina Savari is one of the producers, and I do usually like her. But this was shot the same year as this came out in 2019, but it mainly came out in 2020. And this movie is basically wrong, gets the whole murder and Nicole Brown Simpson thing wrong. Because let me tell you, the fact that this movie was not only made just as revisionist history, but it makes you want to believe that this scenario actually didn't happen. But even though there is little to no evidence to prove to that, basically just shows how screwed up and bad this movie really is. The writing isn't great, the direction isn't great, the actors are wasted, and they are given very bland, mediocre performances. The only one who I actually think is actually trying here is Agnes Brooker and Taryn Manning. Mina Savari, she is just sleepwalking through this movie. And also, this movie is also kind of racist because O.J. Simpson, the main guy who everyone thought killed Nicole Simpson, which, let's be honest, is a little not right in this movie, and just I don't understand what this is trying to do. This is revolting. This is disrespectful to the actual real life tragedy or events. This is, I can't even. I'm trying to think from a cohesive thought, but this was awful. Just awful. Coming in third place is the second most boring horror movie, and that movie is The Turning. Thankfully, we did have The Haunting of Bly Manor, which tackles on the turning of the screw a lot better than this movie, but what were you thinking? What were they thinking? Because I don't really understand what the intention was. This movie was boring from beginning to end. Nothing happens. And also, I like the actors here. Mackenzie Davis, she's a great actress. Finn Wolfhard, he was great in Stranger Things. He was great in the It movies. I wish him well for Ghostbusters Afterlife. And Brooklyn Prince was also given a decent performance here. But this, I don't know what happened. Because the movie builds up to nothing. This movie builds up to nothing. It's not scary. It's not creepy. It's not even the least bit interesting here. And you'd hope with the ending of this movie you at least had something scary going for you, but you didn't. And this is a prime example, and like I said, the direction is pretty lackluster here. The writing isn't great. The characters are boring. The only redeeming quality this movie might have is the performances and the cinematography, but just how the movie was starting to get more interesting, this movie just randomly ends. And also, this is the laziest offering for a horror movie I've seen in my 22 years of life. And as a film lover, not much to really run home about. Because The Turning, I reviewed this movie, the link will be in there, but go watch my review of that. You'll actually get a reasoning of what I'm trying to say here, better than here. Coming in second place is Disney Strikes Again. Disney strikes with Artemis Fowl. It's a good thing this was dumped onto Disney Plus because this was supposed to come out in theaters, of, but because of the pandemic and such, and also because of the fact that they have to go back and shoot this movie, which shows I can honestly tell there's a lot of studio interference going on here in this thing because Artemis Fowl this had potential here. This could have been have potential to be the next Harry Potter mixed with Men in Black and Mission, and of course the Legends of Tomorrow. This good. The cards were set, and from what I've heard, the books are better than this. I haven't read the books, but after seeing this, I actually kind of want to read them now because the problem that Artemis Fowl has is that not only it just was heavily interfered by Disney, which I don't blame Kenneth Branagh, the director, for. This movie tries too hard to combine multiple books into one film and tries to set up a franchise when we don't even get to care about the characters to begin with. Filmmaking 101, script writing 101. The most important thing you do is that you set up everything in your first movie. Then in sequels, you get to expand it further. And unfortunately, I didn't think they didn't get that at all because this is just boring, bland, and also this is a waste of $150 million. I am baffled that this was even supposed to come out in theaters. Many of the people, including fans of the books, really hate this movie. Now, there are quite a few people who actually kind of like this movie, but the only redeeming qualities this movie might have are Laura McDonald's performance. As the cinematography was fine, some of the effects at times were pretty good, but a lot of the actors stuff. Artemis Fowl, this is just not a very good movie whatsoever, but it's not as bad as my number one. And my number one, for the longest time, even when my least anticipated movies 2020 last year, this was number two, but after them got pushed back, this moved up to my number one. And this is a movie I clearly have not mentioned yet. And that movie is none other than After We Fucking Collided. Holy crap. I cannot believe how much worse this movie got compared to the first movie. It's terrible. I hated the first movie, but at least the first movie had something going for it. This is just a R-rated wannabe 50 Shades Darker for kids that not only it is the worst written of the two, but this is the most offensive of the two. This is the most unintentionally funny. I swear, I found myself laughing at certain parts, especially the whole line with Tessa after Molly and her fight, which she calls Molly out and then calls her Happy New Year. And then also, this movie promotes so many things. This movie has the same exact problems as the 50 Shades series and the original After series. You have two people who are not good for each other in a verbally toxic and abusive relationship. You try your best to not only do that, you also try your hardest to make us give a crap about these characters, which is just ain't happening. And I don't blame the actors. I don't blame Joe Lane for Hero Finds Tiffin and Dylan Sprouse and Nana Sarkis or the rest of this cast. They do the best with what they are given here, but unfortunately the script is not much to work with because obviously it is pretty freaking sad when even fans of the books in the YouTube comments for reviews of this movie I have seen, they didn't even like this movie. Now, there is a split diversion here. Some people like it, some people hate it, but I understand some people may also like this movie, but the two's tired. I am so sick to death of hearing these two excuses. Read the books, you'll get a better understanding, or your excuse that I like this movie because it's more sexier than the first one. I know that is your valid opinion, but when you are trying to get me to be on your side on why you like a movie, not only that you fail to back up your criticism, but you really fail to impress me to try. And like I said, I don't blame the actors for this. I really do not. They do the best with what they're given, and I applaud y'all if y'all love this movie. But this has the same mistakes as the After series, first movie, and the 50 Shades series. You have a female character who is unlikable, dull, and hypocritical. A boyfriend that's so unlikable in the worst way possible, thinking that being stalkerish and creepy and invading people's privacy is romantic. Not to mention he's freaking toxic as hell. A relationship that's toxic and abusive for us to care. Trying to make us feel bad for characters that has not proven once that they should deserve it. A good guy in Catch Trevor, which should have been the right guy, which he was one of the best things in this whole entire freaking movie. You have sex scenes, which I applaud for being art, but they're not even sexy enough. Fights that make feel characters worse. And then, don't even get me started on that freaking twist ending, because I know I ranted for 41 minutes in my review of this, but as a fan of cinema, as a fan of romance films, and as someone who wants to be a filmmaker, I feel like I deserve $1 trillion or more to watch this movie. I hated After We Collided more than any other movie I watched the last year, and I sat through Songbird, I sat through Monster Hunter. It is fucking saying something when I say I hated this more than Monster Hunter and a movie about a freaking pandemic. Do you understand what I'm getting at here? I'm not exaggerating here. I have little to nothing praiseworthy to say about this piece of shit. Poor excuse of a fucking sequel, fucking romance movie. This movie is insulting to anybody who wants to be filmmakers. This is insulting to anybody who loves the romance genre. This is insulting to anyone who is in a relationship or in a marriage. And it is offensive to me as someone who is autistic and someone who is a fan of romance movies and someone who wants to find his true love. And this is getting 2 more movies. Somehow. The only small decent praises I can give this movie is some of the acting is good. I do like the soundtrack and score. The cinematography is fine. The set design and costumes are decent. It's rated R, I can give you that. But that's pretty much it. Oh, and also that scene where he states the obvious involving the relationship. But that is not enough to save this movie from being on the worst of list. Do not see After We Collided. Do not watch it. Do not even consider it. And if you plan on watching the last 2, I feel sorry for you because you're gonna need a shot of Hennessy or something. But anyways, those were my worst movies of 2020. I'm sorry this was a little late. I'm sorry I couldn't really be in voiceover form. But these are the 12 movies that really got on my nerves the most. And I never want to watch them ever again. But the sad thing is, I'm gonna have to watch the last 2 after movies. I did say I'm a completionist, but I guess I gotta do it. And it's gonna be fun ranting and reviewing them and then regretting them. I can only hope that Josephine Langford, Hero finds Tiffin, they find something better in their careers. And I'm gonna say this one more time to these after movies. And to any movie about like this. Stop putting this shit, stop doing this toxic abusive relationship shit in my romance movies. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know in the comment section down below what are your worst movies of the year. All my social media links are in the description box down below. If you want some links to my channel, if you want some fan mail, you can DM me or email me to do that as well. You guys keep it cool and join the Epictasticness.